Welcome back guys. In this video I'll be testing Mafia the Old Country on my Windows PC that has a Ryzen 5700X 3D processor and an RTX 2070 Super GPU. It's a third-person linear narrative-driven game which is set in Sicily, Italy during the 1900s. It is based around the origins of Sicilian Mafia. The narrative follows Enzo, who journeys from a childhood of labor as a Caruso in Sicily's sulfur mines to joining Don Torrisi, who is the head of the Torrisi crime family. The game is priced at around $50 in US and in India it's priced at around Rs 2900. I purchased it for around Rs 2400 from Greenman Gaming. I have already done my testing, not impressed by the game's performance. It uses Unreal Engine 5 and suffers from Traversal Stutters. It's not like a traditional open world game, but the game world is still quite big. We often have to go from point A to point B. It officially supports DLSS, FSR and XeSS upscaling and frame generation. Unfortunately, FSR upscaler is not decoupled from FSR frame generation, so on RTX 20 or 30 series GPUs, you cannot combine DLSS upscaler with FSR frame generation. This is why I'll be using Nukem9 Mod. It will replace the in-game DLSS frame generation implementation with FSR frame generation. Will also force enable NVIDIA Reflex, which will help in cutting down the latency. Official FSR frame generation implementation does not support Reflex. In order to access XeSS frame generation, you just need to update the in-game XeSS files to the latest ones, version 2.1. Just a heads up, if you plan on using mod FSR frame generation or the in-game FSR frame generation, do not update XeSS files. Updated XeSS files will block the in-game FSR frame generation implementation. They will also block Nukem9's mod Reflex implementation. So I'll only update XeSS files once I'm done testing Nukem9's mod and the in-game FSR frame generation. As the upscaler is not decoupled from frame generation, we cannot combine DLSS upscaler with the in-game XeSS frame generation implementation. So if you have an RTX 20 or 30 series GPU, it's recommended to just use Nukem9's mod. You can use the standalone version of Nukem9's mod, use WinHTTP as the injector file. But I'll be using Optiscaler mod to inject Nukem9's mod into the game. The thing is, with the standalone version of Nukem9's mod, Afterburner's frame pacing graph will not be accurate. It will look very thick. So I'll fix this issue using Optiscaler mod. You also need to set the in-game sharpness level to nil. Otherwise, Nukem9's mod smoothing effect won't work properly. So I'll increase the in-game image sharpness using Optiscaler mod. First, I'll run the game without any mods installed, show you the base game performance, highlight the difference in terms of image quality between the in-game FSR 3.1 and DLSS 4 upscaler. Just need to set the render preset to K in order to activate the transformer model of DLSS 4. I'll be verifying the upscaler's details using DLSS debug overlay. We'll activate the overlay by executing this registry code provided by Emos. Copy the lines here. Create a new text file anyway on your PC. Name it anything you want. I'll just name it as overlay. Change the extension from .txt to .reg. Hit enter, yes. Select the file, right click, open with notepad. Paste the lines here. Click on file, click on save, close. If you want to disable the DLSS debug overlay, replace the number 4 here with 0. Click on file, click on save, close and run this registry file. I'll revert the change as I want to enable the DLSS debug overlay. Right click, open, yes, okay, launch the game. In-game settings, display mode, borderless full screen, highly recommended for using any frame generation technique. Full HD resolution, VSYNC off, I have enabled VSYNC from NVIDIA control panel, no FPS cap applied. Upscaler, DLSS, okay, first I'll run the game with FSR upscaler using its quality preset. Sharpness level 0.4. Frame generation disabled for the time being. FSR. Motion blur disabled, very important. Never enable motion blur if you plan on using any frame generation technique. Global illumination set to high, cannot change it, strange. Rest of the settings set to medium. Post processing setting, again I cannot set it to low, locked. Here we are in, I am at the Torrisi estate. Okay, first I'll highlight the image quality of FSR 3.1 upscaler. That's Enzo. Just observe Enzo's hair and eyebrows. It seems dithering is used for rendering hair in this game. Very ugly dithering noise is produced around Enzo's hair and eyebrows. This is very disappointing. And just observe the grass here, vegetation. Its textures are shimmering. See? Again, observe the vegetation in the background behind the gate. Its textures are shimmering as well. This grass, again, texture shimmering effect is present. Just observe the leaves of the tree in the background when I am moving. The leaves are producing a sparkling like effect. The image quality is not stable at all. These are some common FSR upscaler artifacts. I have seen these artifacts in many other games. Mafia the Old Country is just another example. FPS here is within a range of 50 to 55. VRAM usage around 6.1 GB. This is why I did not set the settings to high. Didn't want the game to run out of VRAM. Frame pacing graph is erratic, bad 1% loads. Okay, now I'll switch to the in-game DLSS upscaler. Set anti-aliasing and upscaling to DLSS. Same sharpness level, 0.4. Back to the game. Now observe Enzo's hair and eyebrows. Dithering noise has been reduced considerably by DLSS 4. It's not perfect though, some noise is still present. And check out the vegetation now. Noise around them is completely gone. The texture shimmering. See, plants are looking so clean. Noticeable increase in sharpness. And just observe the leaves of the tree in the background. That sparkling effect is gone. Image is looking very stable. Okay, now I'll highlight the 1% lows. This area is very heavy, lot of NPCs. Oh my god, the base FPS, it dropped to around 47. Game is stuttering. VRAM uses 6.4 GB. This game really needs some performance optimization patches. Hitting the GPU bottleneck here, and this is just the medium preset. Check out the DLSS debug overlay in the bottom left corner. Render preset use this K version of the Upscaler 310.2.1. That's DLSS 4, and this is the transformer model of it. DLSS auto exposure setting is on by default. This setting helps in reducing ghosting around the objects in the environment. Also fixes the texture shimmering effect produced by shiny objects. Okay, now I'll enable FSR frame generation. Need to switch to FSR upscaler in order to do that. Set upscaler to FSR. Enable frame generation. Back to the game. Big drop in terms of image quality, image sharpness, as we are using FSR upscaler. FPS increased to around 80. Can observe the added amount of smoothness. I'm also observing some latency. Smoothing effect of FSR is working properly, but no one with an RTX 20 or 30 series GPU should be using in-game FSR upscaler. Now I'll be installing Nukem9 Mod. Inject it into the game via Optiscaler. We'll be using the latest preview 13 nightly build of Optiscaler mod. Can be downloaded from Optiscaler's GitHub. I'll give its link in the description. Expand the asset section. Click on this .7z link here. 0.7.7 preview 13 20250731. We'll be using build 0.130 universal version of Nukem9 Mod. Can be downloaded for free from Nexus Mods website. Just need to have a free Nexus Mods account in order to download any stuff from here. Click on manual download under universal. Click on slow download here. I'll manually update the in-game DLSS upscaler to the latest version, that is 310.3.0. This version of DLSS is still not available via NVIDIA app. You can download it from Tech Power Up's website. Just click on download here. Click on any of these servers, the download will start. First I'll install Optiscaler mod. Open its archive file and just copy these two files, optiscaler.ini and optiscaler.dll. Need to paste them in the game's installed directory. Select the game in your Steam library, right click, manage, click on browse local files. Open Mafia the Old Country folder. Open binaries folder, Win64 folder. Paste the files here. Now just change the name of optiscaler.dll file to dxgi.dll. Open optiscaler.ini file. You need to set TX12 upscaler to DLSS and FG type to Nukems, as we will be using Nukem9 Mod. Scroll down until you find NV API section. There it is. From here just set disable flip metering to true. This will fix the thick frame pacing graph of Afterburner. Click on file, click on save, close. Now I'll install Nukem9 Mod. Open the mods archive file. Open DLL_version folder. Copy this DLL file. DLSS G2 FSR3 AMD is better. Open the games install directory. Open Mafia the Old Country folder, binaries folder, Win64 folder. Paste the mod file here. Now I'll update the game's DLSS upscaler. Open the upscaler's archive file that you downloaded earlier. Copy this DLL file nvngx_DLSS. Open the games install directory. Open Mafia the Old Country folder, plugins folder, third party folder, NVIDIA DLSS folder, 4.8.1.0 folder, DLSS folder, binaries, third party, Win64. Replace the older version with the latest version. Now make sure that hardware accelerated GPU scheduling setting is enabled on your PC, required for using Nukem9 Mod. Right click anywhere on the desktop, click on display settings, click on graphics, click on advanced graphics settings. From here enable hardware accelerated GPU scheduling setting. If your monitor supports VRR, enable the setting as well. Now enable VSYNC from NVIDIA control panel. Click on manage 3D settings, click on program settings. From this drop down bar, select Mafia the Old Country, scroll down to the end, enable VSYNC from here, apply the changes. My monitor is G-Sync compatible. I'll enable the corresponding settings for it. Click on setup G-Sync here and enable the following settings. Enable G-Sync, G-Sync compatible, enable for full screen mode, and enable settings for the selected display model. I'll also enable G-Sync compatible indicator. This step is optional. Click on display here and check this setting, G-Sync compatible indicator. We are ready to run the game. Graphics settings. Set the upscaler to DLSS. You need to set the in-game sharpness slider to nil, 0, very important, otherwise mod smoothing effect will not work properly. Frame generation, let's enable it. Medium settings, global illumination high. Load the same chapter. Frame generation in this game does not work during the cutscenes, as you can see. This applies to DLSS, XeSS and FSR. This leads to a very jarring experience as the FPS gets halved when the game transitions from gameplay to cutscene. I'll skip it. We are in. Open Optiscaler menu by pressing the insert keyboard key. Frame rate, current method Reflex. Make sure DLSS upscaler is selected from this drop down bar. Version 310.3.0. Render preset used is K. This is the transformer model of DLSS 4. Auto exposure setting is on by default. I'll increase the game sharpness level using Optiscaler mod. Just check this setting override under sharpness section and move the slider to the right. You can see its effect in the background. Real time change. I'll set the value to 0. Observe Enzo's shirt here. Set the value to 1. Yeah, shirt is looking much sharper now. The striped pattern. I'll just set the value to 0.600. Completely up to you. Click on save INI. Mod settings will get saved even after restarting the game. Close. Yeah, I can observe the added amount of smoothness. Nukem9 Mod is working properly. Not observing any coasting around the character model. Game's interface is not flickering. Only DLSS debug overlay is flickering. You can disable it after verifying the upscaler's detail. Now I'll enable debug view. Verify that mod FSR frame generation is working properly. No HUD elements are visible in the bottom middle image. Game's interface won't flicker with FSR frame gen enabled. Color palette is exactly the same for the bottom middle and bottom right images. Smoothing effect should work properly. Displays are working properly for all of the images. Disocclusion mask, motion vectors, depth buffer. All good. Disable debug view. Play the game. FPS is within a range of 80 to 90. You are getting roughly the same performance with FSR frame generation. In this particular area is very demanding, that's why I'm testing the game here. In other areas you should be getting slightly better performance. Few hitches. Small spikes can be seen on the frame pacing graph. 78 to 85 FPS. I'll be traversing the game world on horseback. Stuttering, very disappointing performance. I'll be leaving the Torrisi estate. Just observe my character's shadow. It's looking a bit blurry. It seems frame generation effect is getting applied to the shadows. We have seen this happening in many other games. Big open area in front of me. FPS here is close to 90. Again, I am observing a few stutters.
Don't worry, you'll be fine.
Typical Unreal Engine 5 behavior. Traversal Stutters. Reflex is doing a good job of keeping the latency in check. Nothing extreme. Just make sure base FPS is close to 60. Latency won't be a problem this way. I just observe the horse's shadow. It's flickering. Subtitles, they are not flickering. Okay, now I'll show you some combat. Before that, I'll just disable the DLSS debug overlay. Just need to edit the overlay.reg file that we created earlier. Open it using notepad. Replace number 4 here with 0. File, save, close, run this registry file. Click on yes. Okay, that's it. Need to clear the area. Save Isabella, Dawn's daughter. Yeah, here FPS is close to 100. Should be getting better performance in the indoor areas. Oh no, I had to reload. This guy didn't go down easily. Shot him 3 to 4 times. I can loot the bodies. Pick up the shotgun. It was here somewhere. Missed it. Oh, there it is. Got it. You can even use knives in this game as melee weapon. More of these thugs. Blasted that guy. Okay, now I'll show you how to use XeSS frame generation. Need to update XeSS files. Just download the latest version of XeSS SDK 2.1.0 from GitHub. I'll give its link in the description. Expand the asset section. Click on the .zip link here. Open XeSS SDK zip file. Open bin folder, copy the 3 DLL files libxell, libxess and libxess_fg. Need to paste them in the game's install directory. Open it. Open Mafia the Old Country folder, plugins folder, third party folder, Intel XeSS folder, 2.0.10 folder, binaries, third party Win64. Replace the existing files with the latest ones. That's it. Now this will block mod reflex implementation and in-game FSR frame generation implementation. Delete Nukem9's mod. Binaries Win64. Delete its DLL file. Open Optiscaler.ini file. Set disable flip metering to auto, reverting the change. Now set FG type to no FG. DXTL upscaler set to DLSS. Save, close. Unfortunately, it's not going to work as XeSS upscaler does not include depth buffer. The screen will completely go black when you select Optiscaler DLSS with the in-game upscaler set to XeSS. In-game graphics settings, anti-aliasing upscaling set to XeSS. Again using its quality preset, sharpness level 0.4. Rest of the settings, they are left as they are. We are in. Yeah, the display is completely black. In order to fix this problem, just delete Optiscaler mod. You don't need it in order to use XeSS frame generation. But then you will be stuck with the in-game XeSS upscaler even on RTX 20 or 30 series GPU. Just delete Optiscaler mod files present in the games directory with the game's main exe file is present. Now you should be able to use XeSS upscaler and frame generation. In-game settings, upscaler XeSS, frame generation on. There's Enzo. Yeah, frame pacing graph is looking thick. This means XeSS frame generation is working. FPS here is close to 90. Lot of NPCs here. Few hiccups. XeLL is doing a good job of keeping the latency in check. I'll be honest, XeSS frame generation latency seems to be better than that of Mod FSR frame generation. Slightly better, way better than the in-game FSR frame generation. And just observe the shadow seems to be rendered properly. Game's interface, it's not flickering. I'll just use XeSS Inspector app to verify that XeSS features are working. Open it. From here select Mafia, there it is. Double click. XeSS Super Resolution running, its version. XeSS frame generation working, running, its version. And XeLL low latency mode, it's working. Low latency mode on. Traversing the game world on horseback. Just observe the horse's shadow. Yeah, it's not flickering. Mod FSR frame generation causes flickering around the shadow. XeSS frame generation does produce less artifacts than FSR frame generation. Even its latency is better than that of FSR frame generation. It's a shame that we cannot combine DLSS upscaler with it, at least for the time being. So that's it with the video guys. I hope you find it useful. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.